Hey kid, I thought I'd let you know that your dad started training again. Well, I've been doing it ever since, pretty much, but it's never been as serious as it is now, like a getting back into martial arts. Let's just say I have some. I've been working on stuff. These are my old gloves, by the way. I've had them since forever, and you can tell. But they're the only ones that fit while I'm doing all the things I do. They fit perfect, so I never get rid of shit like that. Your dad doesn't throw stuff out. Don't read too much into that. So today I got into Chinese longsword and a little bit of Greek short sword, and then shield play. Enter like you do both at the same time. And I told you in another video that the shield and the sword are the same weight, and it's perfect for working on both sides. You have to when you're recovering from shit like I am. And I was gonna wait to be like, oh my goodness, you look like a mess. No point, because like this is what you're gonna look like when you're really working on yourself. And yeah, protect your hands, kid, because this shit gets really rigorous and like blisters all day. Um, it's a lot of fun, and I'm tired as hell. So I'll just show you real quick what's part of the regimen here. So currently, this is my regimen. Like I told you before, you don't always need a weapon, but for body conditioning, this is what I chose to do since you can use both at the same time. Um, Kid, I've been getting into like diet. I've been getting into walking more and running and working out. I used to do this shit all the time. It wasn't just the military. Uh, I made a video. I haven't unprivated it yet, but there's nothing really bad about it besides like it's really personal, and it goes into explaining like what the why people get so into it. It's like for some people, martial arts is that missing part where you can be dangerous and feed the other animal, so to speak. So that's what it is. Like if you're violent by nature, hone it, own it, and train it, and make sure that you understand. Like my first martial arts video I did for you, basically told you all the principles of it. Like you're doing it because you're working on you at the end of the day. So just treat it like an extension of yourself. Like you would never throw yourself into something terrible and not what you intend. That would, what do you call it? That would betray your character. You wouldn't do that. So don't do things with the weapons that would betray your character, and you'll be fine. To be honest, like that's everyone's thing. No one wants to be seen or misunderstood for like doing something like this. Like yes, it's true. These things are considered bad. because they're weapons and because you can defend yourself. And but right now, there's huge debates going on about what constitutes a weapon and what constitutes freedom. Uh, let's be honest. Discipline is the difference, and I've said it before. Uh, Dying. Ugh. Breathing is a good thing too, kid. I found out recently that like I have an issue breathing, or I had an issue breathing, but because I've known about it, I've worked on it, and it's not that big a deal. But I can't take full breaths ever since what happened to me. And I mentioned in the other video, once you've drowned before, your body kind of trains you not to take full breaths anymore. Like you will find it uncomfortable to have a full lung ever again. And it's a neurological thing or a psychological thing. However you want to look at it, it becomes like a phobia. Having a full breath will remind you of having a full lung, and you'll you'll panic and cough and shit like that. So unless I really want to be in the moment, I never even take full breaths. People have to remind me to breathe sometimes. Like unless I'm at my limit and I'm pushing myself like today. See, so like one of the best parts about martial arts, it really pushes you. Like how long can you do it? How much can you do? A little bit further every day pretty much is like the recipe. Yeah, so this is my other baby, and this is the other one. Yes, kid, your dad bought a shield. And someone texted me yesterday, someone who knows me and my martial arts background. They texted me about self-defense. They texted me about self-defense because they're worried about themselves being in the LGBTQ trans movement, and they're in a southern eastern state, which is not cool to be who you are still. And they're afraid of that. And they asked me techniques and weapons and shit like that, and I was like, when I was a kid, I used to think weapons could be the equalizer. I used to think the intimidation factor might be able to get you out of trouble. Some people have guns just for the sheer intimidation factor. Maybe it's not even loaded sometimes. Maybe it is because they actually believe they would go that far and kill someone or whatever. But that's the point. These things are for defending yourself and killing people. These things were designed to kill people, and this was designed to stop people. And you need to embrace both. It's a lot of hard work. So, if you ever have that issue, Killian, where if you're gay or you don't want to identify as what you are, whatever, because people don't know who they are anyway. You won't know who you are pretty much until you're dead. So, if you died before, like some people, and been resuscitated, you know exactly who you are. And there's no coming back from that. You have to act the way you would act, or you betray yourself every day after. So here I am, not betraying myself. I told them, go as far, mentally prepare yourself to defend yourself in case and when they do. Expect it, and you will not be surprised. Let them touch you once, pretty much. Like, the character in one of my books, Tori, was notorious for this, where she would let you get away with something for the first time. That's your only warning. Because humans do this. They poke you, then they look for your reaction, and then they do the other thing because they see that you let them get away with it. Let them get away with the first, if they're like actually trying to bully you or something. The second time, you hit them hard. Harder than they would ever try to hit you. Make them remember that they started something and they believed something and that they could lose more than they could possibly afford to. to stay in the fight because people don't actually like fighting, and if they do, they have a sociopathic tendency, like your dad. I do. You have to embrace the fact that you have sociopathic thoughts sometimes. Like, I don't like cops, I don't like authority, and I don't like judges or the idea that someone has more rights over you or autonomy over you. That's never cool, and it's just not true. First of all, so when people try to say stuff like that, they need to remember what built this country is rebellion, massacres, rebellion, genocide. My people, our people, kid. Native Americans, the people who were here first, Mexicans on the south side, they were here first. Spaniards, whoever else came in, they moved in. They're not here for the problems. They're just here for the success. Remember that. Any immigrant you see coming by, they're not here to partake in the failures. They're here to partake in the success. They'll only gloat about the successes. Own your failures, because that's like pretty much everywhere. In every book, in every religion, it says the same thing. Work on you. Work on your path forward. But expect also to fail, and be brave enough to let the failure also define you. Anyways, so yeah, this is what your dad does right here. And I'm already done, so I'm not going to do any more, but like, you need to realize what this looks like. You could be really comfortable with stuff. It's not dangerous when you're comfortable and you know that how far you can get or how close you can be to someone without hurting them. That's what the point of martial arts is: self-respect, respect, and restraint. It's about knowing how far you will go before you go over that limit and become a murderer or whatever. Like, to know how far you have to be pushed. You would never, kid, I know you and I know me, we would never go stoop as low as the people who actually do the things, unless it's in defense of someone. But I'm actually learning now, you don't want to do that anymore. Nowadays, people have become used to it. There's been generations of bullies now, so when victims grow up, they teach their kids someone will defend you and shit like that. That's wrong. Defend yourself. Be strong enough to defend me if you have to, because I'm depending on you. You shouldn't just depend on me. Fuck that. That's not real society. That's why we have an army and we have civilians who know nothing about anything about the real world. And some of the soldiers don't know shit. Like, they're kids. When they get out of boot, they actually have this weird, scared puppy vibe about them when they first come out. And they don't ask for stuff. They don't ask for help. They don't open their mouth and use their communication skills because they're kind of scared straight. And this is like 60% of them. When they come right out of training and they get off the bus and they're at my facility, they don't act like human beings anymore. They don't remember human kindness because they're out of boot. I've been in that situation, and it's different, I guess, because I expected abuse. Because the masochism and narcissism thing I told you about. I enjoy overcoming those obstacles more than most people. So what I just showed you, the sword and shield, is very much technique and very much like you have to like flex the entire time to have your full protection when you're behind the sword and shield. Because your guard on your sword side has to be strong, so it has to be this side, and your shield has to be just as strong, and you have to be orientated towards your target all the time. That's a different kind of martial art that I'm about to tell you about. When I started, it wasn't all about power. I wanted to get faster too. I wanted to get lighter. But to do that, to activate some muscles and not other ones, where, like, this is Chinese longsword. It's essentially Chinese fencing. and I don't really like fencing that much, but I my subconscious likes fencing. I like putting down people fast and hard if I have to, and having that notion built into me, knowing that I can take the hard hits as much as I could deal them out. However, no one does this part anymore, where it's about finesse, where it's about being able to strike 4 or 5 times before you can actually get touched by the other person, because you know it. Like, this is more mind games than anything else. It's like you could break it. It's That's the thing. People are very vulnerable. It only takes about 2 pounds of pressure to cut into to someone's skin anywhere. That means it could be a heart shot. Your your grand your grandfather, my father, is in his family comes from Spain, like bullfighting and all that. So fencing comes into is very easy on me because my mom is on the Mexican side and I'm from Alaska, and most of my family are like Native American. There's a lot of spiritual like warriors in my family, including you. You're gonna be able to overcome stuff you have no idea why you survive, because you have like a very strong background, as well as me as your dad. It's also genetics, where we just took more shit over time, our family, our people, and I guess it's kind of like you expect it. You know how they say people evolve to get used to stuff like the melatonin in your skin and all that. You turn darker shades in the sun because the sun is very oppressive, and your skin changes to adapt to that. It's all very scientific, except for this part. Martial arts is mental as much as it is physical. You have to have the patience. Like right now, like I could want to dance, and yes, the dance of death. This is the dance of death. Make no mistakes. This is an art that was made to kill people and put you on the edge of what you think you're capable of. If you think you're not a monster, you have no idea how the human body works. You're capable of both, and worse than you can imagine. So you should very much embrace these things. And if ever it comes up, trust your subconscious. My subconscious showed up for me in every regard. My subconscious loves this. It loves playing this game where you could be 4 or 5 people, and I'll put you in a line. I'll step until you're in front of one of your buds and they don't have the eyesight on me because you're in the way. Then I know that's the perfect time to strike. Like, I've leveled the playing field. Someone's blind to me. Like, your subconscious works that way. It does the math for you, kid. You just have to trust it. And like, but that, like I said, this is the difference. Like, you don't have to go for kills when it's something like this. You can always go for maims and wounds and disarming people, like cops training. You should be able to shoot someone in the hand. Why don't they have, like, people put so much emphasis on headshots because they want to kill people, but if you want to save people, that's not the idea. The idea would be to shoot them in the legs, or shoot them in the shoulder, or shoot them in the arm, because they'll drop what they're doing. Shock and pain is a very powerful ally. Hell, even sound. Some people just get down, and then they get down. Like in my training at where I work, they train us to just about get robbed, and how to get down and all that. It got ruined because they're soldiers on base, and if they're out of uniform, people investigate that shit. and the people who were pretending to be criminals were soldiers out of uniform. And so a drill sergeant walks in and interrupts the whole thing. He's like, "What's all this?" and ruins the whole exercise because we were laughing. Like the doors were still unlocked, and the criminals or CID or whatever weren't very good at securing the area. They didn't lock the doors behind them because they don't have keys. Hilarious, but yeah, that's exactly it. Your subconscious helps you out a lot if you listen to it. It'll subconscious can be a very bad thing. Like I've heard of the demon. I don't have a demon anymore. I have an ally because it tells me how to get out of situations while preserving my character the most. Where you could kill someone running at you with a gun, or you could grab some margarine off the shelf next to you and dump it and run and let them slip and shit, and they'll never catch you. Like, but you would have to, you know, be conscious, and you have to be like you had to because what the unconscious and conscious are connected by your subconscious, and you don't think to put details like that together on the spot if you don't embrace and feed your subconscious and integrate it well enough. And I'm gonna get into a video. That video's coming that I promised you on Facebook about how I know genetics and all this stuff that or gene therapies and all that, and anthropological studies and cultural studies, why I know you and I will be fine in all this pandemic stuff. It's very scientific, and you'll love it. You'll love it. These are things actually modern science hasn't caught up with yet, because there are special things about my case and your case specifically that opens the scientific community up to a new discussion. And this doesn't come up because it's such a rare thing. Like, I'll talk to you about it later. But for now, like, subconscious fighting is a lot of subconscious, and how much you trust yourself and how close you can get to compromise without doing it. And that's all martial arts is. So art, it really is art. It teaches you, and it, because like where you say art is creativity, and art is also unconscious, what you can't say or describe is art. That's why they say it's subjective and not objective, not evidence based. That's why people get so confused on this topic about violence and why it's good and bad and ambivalent, really. And it is. It is. Anyways, I love you, kid, and I'll get a video of me actually practicing so you can see what it looks like. I'm not gonna do it now because I'm tired and I'm dying out here. It's Texas heat. Don't play around with it. Do what you have to get your results. Like, kid, I am doing fantastic. Like, this is the best I've looked since high school, pretty much. And it's only going to get better because this is only the second week. And I have 4 to go. And yeah, kid, appreciate the freedoms of it. Grab a stick and start playing around in the backyard. That's how I started. And eventually it'll teach you things about yourself. Like, do you want to be the hero you're pretending to be? Do it. Be it every day. Be the example you want. And you'll feel like the person you wanted to be. And you'll believe it when it's time to go. So I'll see you later. I have to go inside and take a cold shower or something. And if you're interested in like this kind of stuff, like, people don't have this style either. Trust your subconscious on style. Keep the things that work. Like, these gloves are 19 years old, and this shirt is from an era that is far gone. Egyptian people don't even do this kind of stuff anymore. This is not the stitch and hems and stuff that people do anymore. Now it's all machines. This was hand done. Like, if you care about your character, you'll invest in the things that mean more to you, and they'll look and wear differently. Like, kid, this is, it makes all the difference in the world, kid, how you want to come off and be seen and be remembered. So man, I'm tired. Later. I love you, kid.